Hello, my name is Winfrey Agboleshe, and this is the Pageant Show with Winfrey, a platform created to have pageant girls share their experiences with us, as well as learn from each other, and of course, talk about topical issues as it affects the pageant industry. Stick around to see who we'll have next and to see what topics we'll be talking about. Make sure you do follow us on social media. All that detail will definitely be down there. Drop your comments, share it to that pageant girl that you know needs this content. All right, till next time. Bye. For years and years, pageant girls have been subject to a definition of what a beauty queen should be like, right? And of course, this definitions brought about by society definitely comes with its own pressures. I honestly think it will only be fair if we actually allow pageant girls decide and determine, or at least share with us what they really think a beauty queen is, and also share the pressures they've actually gone through in this experience. Hello, my name is Winfrey Agboleshe, and this is the Pageant Show with Winfrey, a platform created to have pageant girls share their experiences with us, as well as learn from each other, and of course, talk about topical issues as it affects the pageant industry. Now, having this conversation with me today, the pressures of being a beauty queen, we definitely had to pull in a beauty queen, right? And of course, I have with me a very special one. I have to read her bio because it is long. Okay, so now she is a beauty, fashion, health, and lifestyle enthusiast, a winner of 4 national and international beauty pageants, a strong, beautiful, and multifaceted individual who balances life as a full-time ER and ICU nurse, a beauty queen, entrepreneur, as well as an innovative content creator, right? She was definitely crowned the most beautiful girl in Nigeria in 2021 and had the opportunity to represent Nigeria at the Miss World Beauty Pageant in December 2021 as well. She describes herself as an epitome of God's work, which is actually the cultural definition of her name, and finds her purpose in helping others to navigate life with an optimistic, passion-driven, and positive outlook. I'm talking about none other than the one, the only Oluchi Madubuike. Hello, Queen.
Hi. Yes, that is me in the flesh.
Yes,
You know,
that
at
is you
the
in the
point
flesh.
when you're reading that,
Mhm.
I wasn't even sure. I wasn't quite sure who you were talking
We were talking about
You know, it was
Abi?
giving, you know, but I guess I'm all those things and I'm very grateful.
Yeah, of course. Definitely lovely to have you here. Something I know
Great
about you.
to be
Whenever you're in
here.
a room, we know Oluchi is in a room because
Wow,
the
it's like a
energy
light, right?
is it.
It's a light.
It's
It's a light.
It's a light. It's a light we all see.
Yes.
We cannot ignore.
So it's funny enough. I tell people it's the
Mhm.
Lucci experience.
It's the Oluchi
Yeah,
experience. You should actually
Lucci.
tag some. That is a brand name right there.
The
The
Lucci
Oluchi
experience,
experience.
yes.
Great. Nice one. Okay, so now we're definitely going to be talking about the definition of a beauty queen along, or rather, let's say over the backdrop of the pressures that come with being a beauty queen. But before we go into all of that, I'd like to zoom in, right? Zoom.
Pull it in.
Let's see. Okay, now what was growing up like for you? Because of course, we know that you definitely lived in Nigeria. You had
Mhm.
some growing up in Port Harcourt. Then, of
Yes.
course, traveled to Oman at some point, and
Right.
then back to Nigeria, and then eventually to the US of
Wow.
A.
Yes.
So now tell me, that movement, that back and forth, what was it really about?
So you know, from the span of what you're talking about, that was all in the first 17 years of my life, and I'm not that old, but it's a lot of time. But growing up,
yeah,
I was termed a shell kid. Now, anybody who understands what that means, essentially, it's just
money.
that.
Money
Wow.
that's
Okay.
from the
Okay.
oil.
Calm
That's what
down.
it
Calm
is.
down. No, it essentially means that my dad worked in Shell, and
Yeah.
as a child in that environment, our parents often were taking on cross posting, which is just, I think, an opportunity for them to learn in a different country and different space. So a lot of people actually went to Holland and all of that, and all of a sudden there was like, oh man, I didn't even know where that was,
Where
it
we
even
at?
existed, but it's the only old country in the world. So
Yeah.
big flex. So we moved there. Lived
Yeah.
there for 4.5 years, and
Right.
And in that environment, I really feel like it built me to be the kind of person that I am today. I was exposed to a lot of diversity. I mean, I had my best friends from like Norway and Australia. And, at the time, coming from Nigeria, where everybody's Nigerian, highest there, in fact, I didn't even know that there was other cultures besides like Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba.
Oh, wow.
Honestly, like, growing up, my best friend was Edo, but I just didn't have that recollection. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But, coming into different space and seeing people from different walks of life, but being able to interact with them and to like not just be there but to thrive in that environment just made me feel like no matter where you are or who you are, just as a human being, you have that you're able to connect in different spaces and different places. And so then taking some of that and moving back here, I went to boarding school. So I'm not just I've done my time.
Thoroughbred.
Exactly. I've done my time. I went to school in Port Harcourt. And some people may call it bougie. But it wasn't for me. It was an experience, right? Because I never
see it all over you.
I never had that experience before. Oh no, stop it. So I went to Charlesdale and just, shout outs to Big Mommy because she has definitely raised a lot of us pageant queens. For those of you guys that don't know, Charlesdale is like the secondary school of Brereton. And our Agbani, see how I claimed her.
Right.
Exactly. Our Agbani went to...
She's all of us. She's for all of us. Please.
She went to Brereton and then Yekachi Douglas, another fave, who actually crowned me.
Yes.
We were in secondary school at the same time. So
oh, wow.
you see the cadence there.
You see the pattern.
Okay, you see the pattern.
So MBGN.
Check well.
You know the school to go to.
Oh, yeah, now.
Kids to,
So yeah, that was also a very good experience. I think I learned a lot of independence in that moment. And it was after coming back, I got back to Nigeria, I think in 2010. And my dad passed a year after. Oh, wow. And so, at the time I was 15 and then I was just like, I just started boarding school. It was a different experience. But I think through all these different experiences and having challenges that I had to face before my adult years really allowed me to like thrive when I became an adult eventually.
Okay, so when you were 15 your dad passed.
Correct.
So that was before you went to the US.
Correct.
Okay, so what was that move to the US about?
So essentially my mom, my beautiful mother, she wanted to kind of see through what my dad had always envisioned for us. So funny thing, my name is Oluchi. He didn't name me Oluchuku, he named me Oluchi. And my brother's names are just as short. And he always said because he wanted when we went abroad for people to be able to pronounce our names. So I don't have any English names, but it's like Oluchi Choma. So they call me Oluchi. It's very simple.
It's that regular.
Yeah. So my mom just wanted to make sure that, she saw that vision through. And that's what eventually led me to moving to like America because my dad always wanted us to go to school abroad. Okay.
And of course, I know a lot of parents like in this best part of the world, they also I don't know, they are restrictive about letting their kids go off at such a young age. Yes. But apparently your mom didn't have that issue. And now talking about something very important that you mentioned, you are well grounded. Right. So I think a lot of people also overlook how important it is having the right foundation 100%. Before you go. So 100%. What is it that you think you identify and say, okay, that was what kept you grounded through all this time?
I definitely feel like the way that my parents had always instilled just the idea of who I was and what I stood for. But I have to like put light on the moments of when I moved to Oman. Like I said, I was in a different space with people from different nationalities. And I was thriving just the same way I would in Nigeria. So the idea of moving to a different country didn't scare me because I had that as a child and I saw myself do well. So I think that helped being exposure. So parents, don't be afraid to let your kids travel. Yeah. Like I tell people, like in my adult years, I've traveled to less countries than I did when I was a child. My dad was very big on us traveling, expressing culture, being like in a diverse space. And I think it just allowed you to see that, okay, no matter where, like I said, where you are, I can be who I am. I don't feel
true.
I come out I am in America. I'm the same person.
Yeah, same person. True. Actually.
And the Oluchi experience is also in America. If I go to work, everybody at work understands who I am. When I'm off, like if I'm not in my I was like, oh my God. So the energy
is everywhere. It's a general energy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Okay, so now let's talk about the fact that you're a nurse, being a nurse. What is that experience like? But then again, I know I read somewhere that you actually wanted to be a doctor.
Yeah.
But somehow that
you have got to me.
But somehow it was nursing you actually settled for. So
somehow. Okay. So just to cut the story short, I wanted to be a doctor. essentially going to America, it's very hard to go to school as an international student and enter into medical school because the process is a bit different. You have to do a first degree, then apply for medical school, take your MCAT, and then that ends up being another 4-year in medical school and 3 years outside. So in between that gap of getting your undergraduate and going to med school, like most of the medical schools only take like 1% of the class, and it's not a lot. Let me not say most. Very few medical schools admit international students, and now we're talking about international students, not just Nigerian.
Yes,
you have the Chinese, you have Japanese, you have the Indians, you have the other people, all mixed into this, and so at the time, my cousin was also moving there too as well, and our parents thought it to be a good idea, just from other people's experiences, for us to do a degree that was a bit more lucrative, as far as like in case we're not able to get to med school at the right time, that we can work and we can thrive in the society. Because if we did like just a science major, it was very difficult to get like into like get an actual job that could feed you. You'd have to get like your master's, and so we just seen a lot of people like the struggle essentially. And so my aunt at the time was living in America, living in Texas, actually, where I went to school. I went to the same school that she went to, and she was a nurse, and she talked about, okay, you can make good money here and all of that. So that's kind of how we get into that. But I think it became a topic of conversation because when my dad was sick, he had leukemia, and in his dying bed, essentially, he had a diary that he kept, and in his diary, it's just nurses everywhere. Nurses. Oh, wow. There was no mention of very few doctors. Yeah. So the impacts that he felt most was from the nurses. And I think that's what really brought the conversation up, even to my mom, of like, okay, this would be a good thing for her to do. Yeah. And the way it has blessed me. The way it has blessed me. Yeah. So that's kind of how I got into nursing. Yes. And life just kind of happened the rest of the way. And I found my footing here, and it helps me balance everything else I do. So it's been a good journey so far.
Amazing. So now let's talk about your dad a bit, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So you actually spoke about how definitely the way you speak about him, obviously was a major focal point in your life, a major influence in your life. 100%. And now talking about the fact that he actually died of leukemia, and we also know that your pet project had something related to working with kids, with cancer. So now tell us a little bit about that. I mean, the passing of your dad, considering how much influence he had on you, your family, your mom, and all. How was that for you, handling all of that?
So the first 6 months of that, honestly, it was tragic. I think that's the word. For a lack of a better term, I really detested the idea of like God, and I challenged my faith, because it was a time where so my dad was a very selfless person, right? So I didn't even know that. We didn't know. The children didn't know he was sick till like a week before he died. So he had just told us, again, based on the fact that we're Shell kids, oh, I'm in South Africa. He died in South Africa, by the way. I'm in South Africa. Shell took me there. So everything he said technically was right. But he was there medically. But for whatever reason, I felt it, because I remember my dad was always involved. He was a huge part of my life. He was literally my best friend. And I think the woman that I am today, I have to give him a lot of credits, because he really made me believe. Like, even MBGN, I watched it with my dad when I was younger, and I told him I wanted to do that. And he was like, yes. Even when I wanted to be a doctor, everything I said, he kind of collaborated. And I was like, yes, you can do that. And my whole life, that's how I look at it. But taking it back, so we didn't know he was sick. By the time we found out, it was like a week before he died. And one of the times that it was visiting day, and my auntie and uncle came to see us, and my dad was always present, always. Like, he wouldn't miss. If he's missing it, my mom is going and he's calling us on the phone. So the fact that my parents were not there, I already knew something was up. Right. Wow. I ended up like crying about it, and then he felt bad and made sure my mom would come and see us. And it's when my mom came to visit us in Christmas that we found out. So I only had a week of like really taking it in. So I think when he first passed, it was a lot of confusion, because for a long time I thought he went on a trip and just didn't. And you were expecting, it was how I coped with it for a while. And then the reality kind of set in and hit. I remember my first birthday without him, which was like 3 months after that. It just hits, because we were planning like this. It was my 16th birthday, and I had told him all the plans I wanted. I wanted whiskey at my party. I wanted this, and he was really going along. I don't know if he was going to do it or not, but he was definitely going along with it, and so I definitely felt it. But I was very angry. I was very, very angry at God. I was like, my mom was praying even when he passed. I remember how my uncle was like, "Oh, your father has been confirmed dead 2 hours ago, but believe in Lazarus." That's how I found out. It was a
really?
very so there was
So
also
that was
God involved in the
yes,
mix, and
yes.
so I think that's what made me struggle with it, because I'd always identified as a Christian at the time, and I'd always had that belief system. My dad was very big on that too. So just to see someone that was so good, like genuinely pass from, he was sick for 3 months, and
3 months.
it just it seemed unfair.
Yeah.
But after that, I think I had an encounter essentially with God. Like I went to like ground zero, and I didn't know where I was going to start from, and I started to connect more in my faith, and that's what, from there it's just,
that was it.
yeah, like I just became tunnel vision. I learned how to detach from my emotions so I could like move forward, and essentially just started to use him as like a motivator in life, right? So everything I've done since then has always been as related to my dad, or in like honor of my dad, and that has, like I said, when the kind of person he was very driven, he was very humble, he's like genuinely, there's nobody like him. Like, I'm not just saying that, but genuinely, I've never met a human being that's so well-rounded.
Yes.
And so I just use that as a motivation.
Amazing. I think, and of course, thinking about the fact of how influential he was in your pageant journey. Not every girl has their dad supporting them to do something like that. So now, coming from all of that, right, with everything you've achieved in that line, we'll go the nursing route, but let's first go to the pageant route. Now we're talking about 4 crowns, right? Nationally and internationally, right? We're talking about Miss USA Nigeria, and we're also talking about, remind me.
So Miss Africa Texas.
Miss Africa Texas.
Then I had my Miss Charlesdale. I was the first Miss Charlesdale. Let me just be giving this people high.
Give us.
Yeah, so first Miss Charlesdale. Then I had Miss Africa Texas. Then Miss Nigeria USA. I actually ended up coming first runner up.
Okay.
And then MBGN, and obviously participating in this other one too, in Miss World.
Yes.
Sorry.
It's fine. For pageant titles, pageant titles. You have it in your name, you have it to your name. So now, all that experience now, I mean, you went for international pageants, of course, like before you came here to Nigeria. And then you still felt the need to say, you know what, I still want to come to Nigeria to participate in that national pageant. Why did you do that? Did you feel, I don't know, what was it you're trying to get out of it?
So for me, how that actually happened was, again, a very God-driven thing. So I've talked about my faith and how it's kind of pulled me out of where I was, and it's been pretty much a front and center thing of how I navigate life. I had the year before I actually did MBGN. I talked about it previously when I won. I had this, like, call it an instinct, call it like a feeling. I'm not really sure how to put it, but it was just like this, like, unction I felt like on my heart and spirit that I was supposed to do something in Nigeria the next year. And mind you, I'd always said, Miss Nigeria, I don't know. So my mom was very shocked when I brought it up, but I have a pastor that I pray with, and I've prayed with her for, like, I think after a year after my dad passed, my mom and her connected on Facebook, and she's prayed for us since then.
Wow.
Since then,
Amazing.
yes. And so, I brought it up to her, and I was like, I think, God is telling me I need to do something. At the time, I didn't know what it was. I just knew it was in a larger magnitude, and I was like, okay. So we started praying about it, and, narrowed it down to it being MBGN. And it starts coming together because, mind you, like, I think 2 years before that conversation with her, she had told me, hey, Oluchi, I see you winning like she said, like, a Miss Nigeria thing. Okay. So at the time, that's why I went to go and do Miss Nigeria USA, and I came second.
Okay, you know, okay, this is not it.
I said it's nice.
You have to read.
No, so at the point, I thought that was going to be my last pageant. So then I kind of remembered in that moment of praying and stuff, I remember what she had told me, and I was like, okay, I think this is it. So I just, at that point, I just started following, how, whatever God willed. That I happened to also become a travel nurse at the time, so I was able to financially afford it. I was also able to move my schedule, and I was here in Nigeria for like 3 or 4 months, right?
Yeah. So everything was just working.
Everything just fell into
together.
Place, right? And then we throw in like I said, I did a lot of things for my dad, and I just kind of threw it, and I've always known that I was supposed to do something in Nigeria. Even when I wanted to be a doctor, I told my mom, like, I'm a doctor so I can come back and help people in Nigeria. Like, it was always a thing. It was always a thing.
Yes.
So just kind of ushered me into that place.
Okay, amazing. So, of course, that was where the whole, because I know there was a lot of prayer, fasting, going into MB. But then again, okay, so now see. So someone literally prophesied you're going to win this pageant. You come for it, right? Definitely, that would definitely affect your confidence level, of course. But then again, you felt the need to still pray and fast.
Yes.
So explain that.
100%.
Yeah.
So, mind, I told you I'd gone for a pageant before and I came second. I thought it was in prophecy. So I couldn't be sure it was this one either. So what I'm, and I did this thing where I try to include God in everything that I do.
Yeah.
So that prayer and fasting was just like, okay, God, see you. Because I got to a place where if this wasn't for me, at the end of the day, I believe that I was following what he sent me to do.
Yes.
So I'll be all right.
You'll be all right.
I'll be very all right.
I feel that's the most comfortable place to actually be in life.
That's exactly what it was. I was so comfortable winning or losing.
Being at peace.
I was at peace. Yeah. I just knew that I was going to do this. Yeah. And so I think girls felt it in my aura because people were like, oh my God, she's so confident. I'm just like,
No, I will actually say I think so too. Because I can't remember. I know I interacted with a number of contestants and all of that. And I know there was this Oluchi. Remember I met you backstage during the competition and all of that. Like, but I knew definitely, you know how pageant girls are generally. Yeah. I think they have a problem with people being confident, right? I know there was an interaction somehow saying like, oh, Oluchi, she just knows she's gonna win. And you know the whole story of
that came after.
You know somebody, you don't know somebody, and all of that. So
look at me. I'd been in America how many years at that time?
Yes.
Like, it's not as if, first of all, I didn't grow up in Lagos. I grew up in Port Harcourt. And I just told you, my dad was a shell guy. So he wasn't even important. Like, where to where are we going to know somebody?
Yeah.
Where to where? So it was a very funny thing that happened because even when I came to the pageant, everyone was asking me, when I did the shooting in Abuja, like, oh, who's your sponsor? I said, sponsor.
He said sponsor.
I was like, So I literally that's why I had to pray now. Because at that point, I said, God is my sponsor. I don't have.
He's the only one I have. And I think we need to clear that out as pageant girls. Because the same thing, when I was going for him, and the funny thing is that you won. Me, I not win, but till tomorrow, people believe that
you paid for it.
You did something. Someone literally sent me a message. I want to go for MBGN. I think that was a year after 2018 or so.
Yeah,
I want to go for MBGN. Please just connect me with the person that's
nobody.
And by the time you tell them, it's no, they just feel
literally
like,
they will cast you away. As
like you don't like you don't want to share and stuff like that. It's actually funny, and I think we can't say that isn't happening in the Nigerian pageant.
I'm sure
space,
as it does anywhere else.
Exactly.
It does anywhere else.
So now, in 2021, September 18th precisely, you came into Nigeria and you stole the show, right? First of all, your dress was gorgeous.
Thank you.
Shout out to your designer, my friend.
Modella
Sarah. Definitely. So now, from there, you started preparing for Miss World, right? So now, that process of preparing for Miss World, getting on the Miss World stage. A lot happened in that time that a lot of people are not clear about, myself inclusive, because we know, okay, fine, it was a pandemic season, MBGN hadn't happened in a while, Miss World also coming out from all of that, so quarantine, Queens traveling, all of that. But then again, we know you went, then something happened and you came back. So can you clear what happened in the space of all that time?
Yes. Okay. So after winning, I think it just, like you said, a lot of things had not happened prior to that year, right? That was the year after the pandemic. And it was actually very difficult for me. I stayed back in Nigeria against other people's advice.
Okay, shed more light.
Okay, so initially my plan was, after winning, at the time I told you I was a travel nurse. I was like, okay, maybe I'll go back and I'll take an assignment, a very short assignment, maybe like a 4 week, just like a month. And I'll get more money and I would come back and continue the process. But then my fear was that people will say I won the crown and I ran away.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me be more involved in the community. Let me, just not win and then all of a sudden I'm going back.
Oh, okay.
And like I said, I didn't have any sponsors. Even before I came for MBGN, I saved up money and I came. So the reality of staying in Nigeria for like 3 months, not earning anything. And yes, of course, there's the prize money, but, like in preparations, we know that the budget is far beyond that. So I actually hit a wall. Essentially, I was between a rock and a hard place because there were all these expectations that people had of me. Mind you, I'm still going for events here, trying to get my name out there, not being in Nigeria. My experience is different from a lot of people because a lot of people have had time to build some sort of community.
True.
Whether or not it's even pageant space, modeling, whatever the case may be, you have community in this country.
Yes, true.
And that will you have legs that can help you here and here, even if you know what I'm saying. So for me, it was very different. My mom moved to Lagos after I won to be able to even. So I would have a home to live in Lagos when I was here.
Yeah.
So that was big of
Amazing.
huge
Wow,
support.
that's amazing.
Because she lived in Port Harcourt at the time,
Oh.
and so now you cannot imagine two of us new in Lagos. Nobody, we don't know anybody. Nobody knows us. It's just that I've won this huge title and trying to like go through that. So I didn't have a lot of like financial support, for lack of a better term, and I didn't have like any sponsors. Like shout out to Mide, the catwalk coach, because he carried my matter on top of his head. My entire wardrobe, he was the one that spoke to all the designers to help, so like that whoever ended up helping me. But it was extremely difficult, extremely, and so you can imagine how mentally I was exhausted. I'd heard in the past, okay, this you can go here, you meet this person, they'll help you, like, oh, they'll do it. I had nothing. I had nothing. And what I did have were people that were waiting for me to fail. People that were actively putting pressure on, oh, she's not doing this or she's doing this, or how would they crown this person? And there's a lot of backlash when I won and stuff.
Yeah, true.
And so that was a very stressful process. Now fast forward to going to Miss World, being very unprepared. When I went to MBGN, I was so prepared. Like, I have a beautiful fashion sense. And I felt like it was compromised at Miss World. And it was not because I didn't have a choice. Yeah, essentially, whatever. True. If you say, Oluchi, take this. All I knew is that I had 30 days to be on camp and I needed at least 30 outfits or something in that light. Yeah. And so it was just anybody that can give me something, give me, let me, so I can go.
Yes.
As opposed to when I came back, I didn't want my shopping myself. I had the jewelry to the necklace, to this. Everything was
and of course, you definitely know how being dressing the part, being comfortable, knowing this
plays a huge role. So definitely. Mind you, coming all of this, nobody's like it was a hot cluster, working on my pet project, trying to find I don't know, just there was definitely a lot. And then getting to Miss World, I kind of seen in that space some, I guess, disappointments or disparities of what you wouldn't really expect. There was a lot of it wasn't as organized as I would have wanted it to be.
Miss World.
And at a point, not just me, a lot of the girls got really frustrated with the process. I think, when you put something on such a high pedestal and you're forced to bring it down against your will, it almost shocks you in a way that you're just like, so this really was that. So that happened. I think just having been in the mindsets, like, and I'm someone that goes, like I said, I feed off like the energy, my faith, my mindset is very huge. So if I'm not already in that space, I don't believe that I went to Miss World as who I am. That's true. I think at that point I was very demoralized. So obviously keeping face, you have to keep face. Long story short, at the end of Miss World, towards the end, there was a COVID outbreak, and we all got COVID.
Oh wow!
Literally. So, at this point, I mean, I'm not signing NDA, but I didn't. But the last day, the day before our dress rehearsal, a good number of us had caught COVID, but not everybody. So they had us, we're doing our dress rehearsal, and then it got to a point where they were like, "Oh, actually, we have to run the show right now."
Wow! Just like that.
We have to run the show right now. This dress rehearsal will have to be the show.
This dress rehearsal will have to be the show.
Yes, because we might not be able to do it one tomorrow. Yeah. And in doing that, a lot of people were not prepared. I personally was one of the only few colored or black girls that had my makeup, and I ended up sharing it with the masses.
Wow.
Just so everyone could get ready. And I didn't mind that. Honestly, it was a thing where we really came together and we made this work.
So no, everyone has COVID before that time or after that time?
So a lot of us already had it before.
Already had it. Coming in, what would we say influenced that? Would you say, Miss World, the acceptance of the girls as they were coming on camp, would you say better
quarantining people?
Yeah, quarantine, better procedures?
At this point, I guess that would have to be the only source, because we did have girls coming in at like random times. Yeah. They were
interacting with everybody else.
Yeah, but they tried to do a quarantine, which I think I didn't come in later, so I can't tell you for sure, but I believe it was like 2 days. However, the thing with COVID, sometimes it shows take some time to show. So I don't know that we could have really done damage control. I definitely feel like maybe the time that we did it was not appropriate because we were still coming off a pandemic.
Yeah,
true. There's not lots of ways that you can control 100 countries of girls plus everybody else that's in there
That's in
without
there.
some type of like
Very true.
exactly
Mhm.
right. You know, we had just come off to so that was end of 2021.
Yeah.
We're still taking precautions
Yeah,
of
yeah.
6 feet, all of those
Yeah.
things. So I think that played a part.
Mhm.
And so after we did that, just
Sha,
I know that the rest
sha.
of us, because I caught COVID.
Oh, wow.
I caught COVID.
Were
so
you symptomatic?
I was.
Oh,
In
wow.
fact, that was my second time catching COVID.
Oh.
The first time was when I came for MBGN rehearsal. I'm not rehearsal. The live,
Mhm.
and to pick the top 50.
Mhm.
I flew in and I flew out. And
Oh.
when I got back to my house, I had COVID.
You had COVID. Wow. And of course, we're talking about you who actually walked frontline during the
yes.
shutdown.
I never got COVID from being a nurse.
Wow.
I
Even interacting with people that had COVID,
yeah.
you never did. But
because we had like masks, we had gear.
everything was all that's what I'm saying. So I believe probably special care could have been taken to actually avoid certain things and all of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
that's kind of what happened at the end there. And then long story short, they ended up saying our dress rehearsal wouldn't count anymore, that would have the show the next day. So they cancelled halfway through.
So you had Miss World twice.
So after, well, we didn't run the whole thing. We got to the dancing portion, which is still an intro portion. And they were like, actually, you know, the city said they'll still let us run the show.
Okay.
We woke up the next day at 8 a.m. They said they've cancelled the show. So we found out when you guys found out that it was going to be rescheduled.
Okay.
As of the morning they told us it was cancelled, that they're going to, they already, I guess, have a way of judging or keeping whatever. They will just, the judges will pick and select. That's what we were told.
So that's what it
yeah, and then eventually, so after coming back off, I didn't come back to Nigeria after the pageant.
Okay.
I went to America because I was sick. So on my flights back home, I felt so ill.
Oh, wow.
So I messaged, the Silverbird team, and I was like, I don't feel too good. So I just got another flight to where my brother was, and my mom was there at the time. They were spending Christmas there because they came for the show.
Okay.
And then I ended up, me and my brother both had COVID actually, and he came to Puerto Rico too, just for the show.
Just for that.
So both of us ended up getting it, and it wasn't from me because they hadn't seen me.
Seen you, before then.
And so we ended up recovering. So that's kind of what happened with that. And by the time I was done recovering, I ended up deciding, like, okay, let me go back to work because I, wasn't working while I was here.
So you're saying, Miss World 2021 was selected by the judges?
No, because they ended up now having they had decided that they were going to do another show, and they had it in March of 2022.
Okay.
So what they did, though, they just released a list of top 40, and only top 40 went back.
Oh, okay. So after they dismissed people after that time,
correct.
So they just so the judges selected top 40.
They selected, but how I can't.
You can't tell you exactly
because we didn't even do any interviews. We didn't do any so I'm telling you that Miss World was the next day. We hadn't even done
anything.
pre-judging interviews. We hadn't done nothing.
Nothing.
We hadn't done anything. But somehow found the top 40. So
wow.
We don't know how it happened, but it happened, and then only 40 of them.
Jesus.
Amen. Oh, for real. Only 40 of them were able to go back, and then Carolina won, and beautiful. I definitely, she was a beautiful soul, and I connected with her when I was there.
Oh, you did.
She was one of the few people that I definitely was like, okay, this is my girl. So
yeah,
I really
she looks amazing.
She's
that
beautiful.
crown on her head.
It was made for her. I swear,
it seems like she came out of her mother's womb with that crown on her head.
No, she's so stunning, and her it's not just the beauty on the outside. She's so beautiful on the inside. She was so down to earth.
Oh my god!
Like, yeah,
that's amazing. Okay, so now let's
take it back,
and then take it forward. We have a topic for the day. The topic for the day is the pressures of being a beauty queen, right? Because we know, over the years, a lot of people defined, okay, fine, being a beauty queen, you have to do this, you have to do that. And of course, even when you step in there, you even realize what everybody has said is nonsense. Is now a different set of definitions again,
right?
And all of that. So now, first of all, before we even get in there, what would you say is your definition of a beauty queen? What would you say that is?
So for me, and I'm about to shake some tables.
Shake it.
Okay?
Break it.
Break, divide it. I definitely feel like the idea of what a beauty queen is and who a beauty queen is has been put in a very, 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 very confined box.
Yeah.
It's so tiny that you don't have space to breathe. I really do believe that someone that's a beauty queen is someone who chooses to be one, right? If I say I'm going to be beauty queen, I don't have to have had XYZ background. I don't have to necessarily look a certain type of way. I think a woman that just believes in growing and evolving in all aspects of her life, essentially, is someone that is a queen. And the beauty of it is the beauty of the process, right?
True.
So for me, it's more about people that have that instinct and that touch in their hearts to not just be beautiful on the outside, but to make sure that they are growing themselves on the inside. That's who they are on the outside is pretty much a replica of who they are on the inside. So it's a bit of both, as opposed to, oh, I'm supposed to be sitting like this, or my hands are supposed to be like this,
like that,
or I talk a particular type of way. It's more about who you are as a person, and that consistent evolving and growth, the process essentially to becoming a better person, which is what we all need essentially.
Definitely, right? we definitely need that, and of course, we will not take away the charity part of things.
100%.
Also, being a people's person. When I say people's person, not necessarily you don't have to be the most outgoing person in the room.
But charity looks different. Charity, like I said in MBGN, right? And I truly believe it. Like, I spell love as GIVE. Wow. You cannot love people without giving. You can give your time, you can give your resources, you can give.
Sister
you can give in so many ways, and that is charity. Charity is being able to give. Like me coming on here, I'm giving you my time, girl.
My sister, you're giving me more than your time. You're giving your time, your life,
my energy. I'm sharing
so
myself with people, and it's that willingness to be able to share what you're building on the inside with other people, right? So because sometimes I think we get in our heads about, okay, you must have this huge thing that is frontlining, but we help people in our day-to-day interactions. We give back community, but like what you said about being like a people's person and being in the community, I'm willing to give yourself to the community in whatever regard that you can, right? Because some people go over their heads like, oh, looking for sponsor to do, and they end up doing nothing.
True.
They end up doing nothing because maybe not everybody's going to be on the same wavelength as you. Not everyone has the same passion as you to help the children on Ajawo Street. You might, someone must have a different. So whatever you can do for those kids, maybe you can organize, a play day or something. That is charity.
It doesn't have to be huge.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be humongous. And I think another thing when it comes to this pet project of everything and charity and giving everything, aside looking for sponsors, everybody wants their name tagged on it. In the sense that, okay, fine. I mean, you're doing a charity. Do you understand? There's something that someone's already doing something like you're doing. Right. Why not collaborate?
Period.
And then help. Do you understand? Everyone help you.
That's
but
exactly
everybody wants. Oh no, this is
Oluchi Madubuike Foundation and
exactly.
social culture. I don't know. It's just it's a lot of. And that's what I'm saying. That's not the beauty.
That is not the beauty.
That's not the beauty. I see. I'm not against people showcasing what they are doing, but I think that we've taken it out of context.
Context.
Like even sometimes I see on Instagram, someone say, you have not done anything. Or all these things you say. Do you know what I do on this?
True,
that I don't.
True,
and
true.
genuinely,
don't put out there.
Genuinely,
and those are the ones that really matter.
Genuinely, it's a thing. It's just something that I just don't feel like putting children that are sick on my social media just to say that I did it. Like I go to Luth, right? I have playlists with the kids. I give them money. I give this. I support in whatever ways that I can. But I'm not about to like go there with a camera, literally. You see this sick child with the parents in such a vulnerable situation, and the world expects me to show that just to have proof that I've done something.
So there's a video now you're actually talking about this. Actually just comes to my mind. I see it on social media. There was a lady literally sharing money to kids on the streets. So she was literally flinging the money and the kids were literally like
catching it.
Rushing, do you understand? And then she would move forward more, she was fling more. And I'm watching this and I'm like, so she told the cameraman, stand there, start this video and start videoing me. And then a part of her feels like... So I'm like trying to think, what's the motivation for this? What exactly are you trying to do?
What are you trying to do?
What exactly are you trying to do? But then again, I think this whole social media thing has gotten a lot of people twisted. People don't know what to keep on the inside, keep quieted, and people don't know what to say out.
I don't even just think it's social media. It's people in general. People just... Our environment now just gives everybody the audacity to do whatever they want. Yeah. Social media just puts light on that.
Yeah.
Because people in real life are mad. So, like, they only bring it...
Social media aids their madness.
Yes. We see their madness because of social media.
Yeah, because of social media.
But the problem is that they are still mad. So that we turn off our phones or not, they will be mad.
Okay, amazing. So now let's talk about the pressures, the actual pressures. Now you highlighted it when we were talking about your preparation for Miss World and how you were not ready. Now you're talking about how, okay, you definitely have events to go for. You need to look a certain way. Your hair has to be made. Your makeup has to be on point. Your outfit has to be peng. All of that. So what would you say was the major pressure that got to you during your reign?
I think the fact that I didn't have the support that I felt that I needed at the time. Okay. It seemed like I was a one-man show, and it was very exhausting because what was expected of me, I felt like I needed a stronger support system. I had a great team, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But my team was made up of one of was in the UK, the other one's in Canada.
Yeah.
I had maybe like 2 or 3 people in Nigeria, but it wasn't like they were helping with the small things, which is just within. I felt like I needed, help from my organization.
Okay.
I felt like I needed a better platform to maybe present myself so somebody else could have like, okay, this girl, let me help her.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily feel like I was put on that stage enough,
yeah.
and that support was very critical because my mom was she was big. In fact, at a point, even most of the help that I ended up getting was my mom's friends that ended up reaching out and helping and all of those things. And so, I think the expectation of you come in and you expect to have your hand held, they carry, it definitely shook me a lot. I had some idea of that reality, but you don't know until you know.
You didn't think it was going to be that
you don't
bad
know
until you got there. Having all that experience, MBGN, Miss World, having those struggles, pressures put upon you, right? I mean, they're queens, they're going to be crowned after you. I mean, a queen has already been crowned after you. Other queens coming up and all of that. So now, what would you say the structure they say, okay, fine, we're handing you this platform now, right? This girl is going to be crowned, sets up a system for her to glide through. What would that be?
I think the power of mentorship. I believe that if we had like a team that was dedicated to allowing this girl thrive all year round, putting her on the front burner would be really important. But also having mentorships from people that have gone before her. That's something I tried to do in my time where I was trying to reach out to like certain queens and I wanted to do like IG lives. I did reach out to Gucci and she was very sweet. She came on board. But that idea of people not really... And I get it because during that time it was probably more frustrating. But if we can develop like some type of mentorship that's one, you have someone to hold your hand while you're going through and then you have a team, a well and trusted team that is always putting their mask on top of your head the whole year round. I think that's the start of the conversation. But obviously, there's many more.
Okay, amazing. I think that would also help, to be honest. So no matter where you're coming from, whether you're coming from US, coming from anywhere,
you feel supported.
Once you come in, okay, fine, I can reach out. I think the pageant industry needs to do more as regards, should I say coaching? Because we do have coaches, but I won't say they're consistent enough. Myself in that. Do you understand? So I think it's because the pageant season is also seasonal.
So which is why I feel like a team that is on your head the whole year round.
The whole year round, exactly.
Right.
To make sure that whatever goals are set, even before you get there, are being implemented once you get there. Because the truth is, it's like it's almost as if it's always a shock. Okay, you've won.
Yes, and everybody's on your mask and then everyone just removes their hand.
Exactly. So it's like no one sees it coming, but like no, this thing happens every year.
Every year.
You should have a team dedicated. So I think, the onus definitely is on the organization
of
right?
all pageants in Nigeria.
Yeah, of course. But then again, also I think independent bodies will also help shake them a bit. Do you understand? If you know, you know what? If you don't handle your queen or manage your queen well, because I honestly feel a lot can be pulled and gleaned out of that queenly experience for even just 1 year. Do you understand?
Listen,
you're talking about a beautiful.
It's a long time, It's a long time. Because a point where in my part, I'm like, I'm not finished. Like it was so long. Because there was nothing else happening for me. There was nothing. But I think that having, that group of people that's just put their mask on top of your head, give you, because outside of when you win, helping you, if it's your pet project you want to focus on, whatever goal that you have, it's not just your goal. It's a community goal. Right? True. So even when technically it's not hot season, they're helping you. Okay, you're going to this place. Oh, let's have this photo shoot. Oh, let's push this. Oh, let's help you get this. Even for you to help you get set up after that. After the fact. It's like, hey, okay, this is the last 3 months of this. What was a goal that you like to hit? Okay, let's help you try to get that. Let's get you in contact with this person. Oh, I really want to go into like broadcasting. Okay, well, we have this or this, So I think that, as I say, I call it more of a mentorship because even having a coach on the team will be important. Having people like strategists, things like that on the team is important. But having that like one-on-one experience of someone that is like, okay, how can we help you? You know, like if you look at the greatest people in life, they have mentors.
They have mentors.
They have mentors.
I'm telling
because
you,
there's something that you've done that that nobody else has done, right?
Very
But
true.
that person having that experience and giving you like, hey, wait for this, or watch out for this, or move like this, or hey, actually let me hold your hand because this place you're going to, it's not really
true.
Check it out, right?
So I also feel even with the coaching in the pageant industry right now, I think that's another thing we're facing, because you try to communicate with certain people, call them out, call them in for collaborations. But a lot of people feel they want to have, Oluchi is my queen.
Hey,
I produced Oluchi.
I'm screaming.
If you
catch like shots at me fire, child.
If you catch your shit, catch it, please, with your chest. No, my point is, no. I'm talking to you. I know where your mind is going to, but I'm talking to you because you are the one in front of me. So my point is, do you understand? Even like different people, do you understand? So everyone just wants to have that. Okay, fine. I groomed her. But I think it's a Nigerian thing, to be honest.
It is.
Because people they underestimate the power of teamwork. Just imagine, fine, this person is good. I mean, you're here, you win this crown. This person is handling your wardrobe. This person 100%. Is telling you, do you understand? The hair.
If I had all the pageant coaches in Nigeria on my team,
that's exactly.
I would have brought it back.
One person is handling your speech. The other person is handling your catwalk. Right. So you know every angle. Everybody understands their place, their position, understands their importance.
You know what you're saying? Funny enough, is the kind of team I built.
Yeah.
The kind of team that and Dami ended up even benefiting from that, because most of my team was like, we really liked how we. Yes. And so it was like that. I had every week I had like 2 coaching sessions on like speaking. I'll just speak. I'll just flow. They'll give me feedback. Someone else is one. But the thing is that because they have other like responsibilities.
So everybody wasn't focused on you all the time.
Correct.
All the time.
So they did the best that they could. But these are people like engineering and this and that, and just people that are just passionate about seeing me win and passionate about pageantry, and so it brought us together.
So they don't see it as a profession yet.
Yes.
Or as a career.
So if we have that, like if the organization sets that up where people can give their time to this particular cause, and they're hopefully being paid the whole year round for it too, because that's another thing. That set up team don't want to pay them.
Yes.
But yeah.
Okay. Amazing. Okay. So now we're getting deeper, and now we actually want to talk about a topic. So this segment is actually called Hot Butting, and it's a butting that is hot for reasons. All right. So now, and the hot button for today is staying in shape, body shaming, and surgeries. And the case in focus is, of course, Miss Universe 2021, Hannah's Sandu. So now we're going to be talking about this. But before I get into her situation, with you, right? You happen to have lost weight. Did you lose weight from MBGN?
Not knowingly, but apparently, yes.
No. Okay. So I was going to go there. Okay, first of all, was it an intentional weight loss, or it was a stress-inflicted?
I think it's stress. Because I didn't even realize. But everybody has talked about it so much. I'm like, I've always seen myself in the same way. I thought I was looking
you did, because I mean, really? I think when I saw you during the media, media, was it media rounds? The press conference.
Oh yeah, yes.
Yes, and I'm like, oh, okay. You actually lost a lot of weight, but then again, you managed to stay that way. So is it that, okay, people are like, okay, fine, you've lost weight. You're like, oh, okay, good.
No, I don't. This even people, the idea that I didn't see myself as bigger. Honestly, when I look at a picture, I feel like I'm the same person. I really do feel like, because nothing changed. My diet didn't change. I don't work out more. Nothing happened. But maybe I think I just got older. I lost some of like my baby fat here and there. Fat, really. I'm just like a woman now. Yeah, but it was definitely not intentional.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's all I can say about that girl. I don't know.
Okay, so now the situation of Hannah's, first of all, when you heard about it, how did you feel? Because I mean, yes, a lot of people, we experienced her when she won the title. To be honest, she was never a slender kind of girl. Do you understand? She always had body. She wasn't big, but she always had body. But then again, the weight she added after the crown now was actually noticeable. So what did you think about that? A lot of people dragged her. A lot of people were like, okay, fine, if you win Miss Universe looking a certain way, you are meant to stay that certain way till you hand over. So what would you say your take is on that?
So I think, like, pulling myself out of that situation, I definitely feel like I can see all sides. I can see the people that say, oh, you win it like this, you're supposed to stay like that, because, they believe that the responsibility comes with a look. Yeah, right. Look, again, that box that I talked about was putting people in. Yes. And But just the idea that we've streamlined beauty queen to the, oh, she looks a certain way, she acts like, so anything that's outside of that makes
Yeah.
it seem like you are fake. It makes it seem like you're not the same person that won it.
That one is.
Meanwhile, it's her heart that won it. It's
Yeah.
the confidence she has that won
True.
it. It's the whatever they saw in her outside of that physical body won it. Because you can be the most beautiful person, but you might not win a
Well, you
pageant.
won't win. Very true.
Your
Very
your
true.
brain has to be beautiful. Your heart has to be beautiful. There's so many other parts of beauty that will exude out of you,
Yeah.
besides of how you look. Right? And some people may argue that she was probably not the most beautiful at that universe. I don't know.
True.
Right?
True.
So I just feel like because of how close-minded we are as individuals, it doesn't allow us to see that it's the same person that won it. You know, I understand it. You know, when I first saw her gaining weight, personally, I was like, I was concerned, right? I was like, but when she talked about it being a health organization, I'm like, the babe cannot help it now. It's not even something that it's different if she now said, okay, I won the crown and I've chosen to like add weight. But at that point, because of you are already on a forefront, people expect you to give them explanations.
Yes.
And as far as she gave us one, what can I do now?
That
The
was
babe has the
okay.
crown. If the universe that crowned her is not pulling it from her head.
Do you understand? Because actually, I know I heard probably rumors of like a petition being signed to dethrone her.
Because she was gaining
I'm telling you,
weight.
because she gained weight. I'm like, how crazy can people actually be? I'm like, this doesn't even make
for
any
me,
sense.
it's a bit of a personal topic too, because a lot of people don't know. Like, I cried during MBGN camp.
Oh my God.
Because
why?
I personally felt like I didn't look like the other girls.
Oh, how did you? How you look better than them? Because that's the only thing.
No. And you know, in real life, like I love my body. God really did a thing.
Yeah,
like he was carving me sexually. But like when I got to MBG and everybody was just like slender. It was so tiny. Everyone did not have no one had body. You know,
so you cried because you felt
I felt so different. I felt like I didn't have a chance. I didn't stand a chance to win the crown because of how I looked.
Imagine.
Actually,
so winning, where did that put your mind?
Girl, I didn't believe it. I really didn't. I remember I cried in front of Miss Priye. Like I was breaking down, and she was like, "No, girl, use that as your superpower. Use it as." And so I had someone that was supporting me, irrespective of like, you know, just giving me confidence. I love her so much. And so it like, so I just feel like, you know, I had someone that was also cheering me on in that moment where I felt a bit down. And I think people don't understand the kind of pressure that you have, which is, we talked about pressures before, to maintain a certain look, to look a type, and then even the one mental pressure that you put on yourself as an individual of how people perceive me.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, at the time, once I overcame that, because I never, what's girl, see me? That's something, I never thought that's something I would ever like be sad about. That I had a booty, you know what I'm saying? I had some hips on me, but it became, so I think for her too, it's like, you know, she got in there a certain type of way, and then she's not traveling all, mind you, I don't know where she lived, but let's say she lives in India. She was exposed to her own foods. She was eating what she did, what didn't upset her stomach. She had, you know, she had dietary maybe restrictions, and then she moves to New York, where in America, all the foods
are there. And then she also spoke about how she had allergies,
right?
So she couldn't eat certain things, and all of that. And then she just like, I mean, and it's understandable because I mean, cultures. I mean, it's different if she was an American
and eating, you said like.
Or even UK is even close, but like India,
people talk about it a lot. So like guys that I know people in Nigeria that didn't have allergies. You move to America, Dallas, you have legitimately you have allergies, or you have food allergies. It happens a lot. Like if you're sitting here eating like, you know, ewedu and bakery, and then you're going to eat cheeseburgers with all this like consistently, your stomach will feel it. You know,
very true. So I think in all what you're trying to say is that people should just be more sensitive. I also know that it's definitely a backstory. Do you understand? You don't know.
And she came us and gave us an explanation, which was helpful. At least I think. Had she not given me, I would have been like, what's happening, sister? I personally, just because she's already on that pedestal, would have wanted some type of like, fill us in.
Yeah, fill us in. Like, what's going on with you know? Yeah. And of course, I think my worry for her, she actually spoke about how it actually affected her mental health and stuff like that. My own is just that people should just know that, okay, fine, just the same thing. There's a box, right? Beauty pageant box. So now let me ask you this question. So would you say that beauty pageants should embrace more rounded and round-figured ladies? And when I say round figure, I'm not talking about yourself. Let's talk about some like people that are big. You understand? Or should you say, you know, we knew, I know there was big, bold, and beautiful once upon a time. There was a pageant like that. So would you say, okay, the big girls should actually restrict it to their own pageants, or what do you think? Should everyone just come together and then whoever wins?
I believe so. I really do. I think because I get talked about, beauty is not just external. You don't have to look at a certain type of way necessarily to be beautiful on the inside. You don't have to, the people, I think even people that are most successful or doing or being like owning charities, they don't all look the same.
True.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's even the idea, like it's the idea of now saying like, if you look at it in a different context, like, oh, black girls should have their own pageants, white girls should, because technically we don't
because we don't all look
the same.
True.
Or people that have curly hair should be in one corner, and those that are straight, don't use fake hair, your real hair. You know, like it's just because we really can't streamline what people are going to look like. But we go into international competitions and we want a black girl to place and say, no, she has every right to place and win. Why? Because she's a female and you believe she has a beautiful heart and what it takes. Right? Exactly. So it's like, at the end of the day, I definitely feel like we have to have that conversation and bring it in. You know, it started off, pageantry may have started off a certain type of way, but evolution is so important.
It's definitely important.
Like growth is so important in any industry, even as a person. You can't, if you decide that they born you this way, you're gonna stay this way the rest of your life.
That's actually
you will be judged.
Very true, because as women, as we grow, our body changes, 100%. Our looks change.
You get your period. You have other things. You grow breasts. You have breasts when you're born.
True, and we're seeing people making major statements now. I always loved Rihanna, right? But then again, this her movement of like anything goes for me totally works. I mean, she's understanding and embracing her body in every shape,
100%.
in every form. Whether she's pregnant, she's showing us she's pregnant. Do you understand? Because she knows pregnancy is a normal part of life. In fact, it's a major part of being a woman. Do you understand? And all of that. And of course, also in a fashion show, she includes pregnant women, big women, albinos, different, do you understand, skin colors, skin types, and all of that. And I think, to be honest, inclusivity in that regard is very necessary. Right. And I think the pageant industry has a lot to gain from that. Right. Do you understand?
And you know, the first topic is even including them.
Yes.
We don't know if they'll win because people already have a particular notion, but at least include them.
Include them first.
Include them. Let us see them.
True. Then we now know, okay, fine. Yeah.
How we now evolve from that.
How we evolve from that. I mean, that makes a whole lot of sense. So, I mean, what would you say to girls out there that are saying, because we're talking about body sizes now. I know a lot of people also have issues with heights, right? Okay, am I this tall? Am I this? What I tell them is that what you don't have in heights, fill it up in knowledge or fill it up in brain work. Do you understand? Even if you're not so tall, by the time you open your mouth,
people are forced.
Do you understand? People should see your height in your brain. Yeah. Do you understand? So what would you say?
Saw my slenderness in my voice.
Right, that's a nice thing.
I love that.
So what would you say, like in regards to people that are watching now, they want to go into pageantry but they're thinking of these limitations physically and all of that, what would you say to them?
Just do it. Just honestly do it. If you feel like that's where your heart is, just go ahead, take the first step, and the rest will unfold how it's supposed to happen. You know, the biggest thing is knowing who you are and whose you are, okay? Having that self-awareness and that confidence, and everything else is literally what's under the rug. Like I said, when I went for MBGN, I didn't believe that I was confident, okay, yes, I'm doing my best and I know who I am, but then that little part of not even looking like other people was definitely something that hit me, right? To the point where I'm like, oh, no matter how good I am, they won't crown me because I'm not 6 foot and I don't look like a model, essentially, right? And even people tell, like, every time I do like gigs and stuff, people tell me, oh, you know, I'm not saying model, like, I'll cover like this, you know, and you know, putting me in a box, and I just had to transcend that box, essentially. I had to just tell myself, hey, I wanted to do this. I obviously had, you know, you hit walls, but pull yourself back. And I knew whose I was, and I had a great support system too. That even in those moments, like I said, Madame Priya was huge, and I didn't know her. That was one of my major first conversations with her. So it's not as if, okay, she was on my. I didn't know if she liked me or she not liked me. I just feeling down one time, and I was talking to her, and we had that conversation. I just started crying, you know. So yeah, you can do anything you set your mind to, essentially. Don't let people limit you to what you can or cannot do. You know, the best thing you can do is try it out, and win or lose, you did it. And you feel fulfilled in the fact that you've done it. True. So that should let that be your guide. Like, being fulfilled and living a life of purpose is way far beyond what other people put on your head. If they put a crown on it or they don't put one on it, like, it doesn't matter.
We're in a time where a lot of women feel the need to BBL, right? So a lot of people feel that looking the same as everybody else is the way to go. And I don't understand the concept, however. So now, what would you have to say with, okay, so a lot of people believe, okay, fine, you know what, let's be confident in who you are, love yourself, but then again, love yourself to the extent to which you're able to accept yourself. I don't know if you understand what I just said. Do you understand? So what would you say? So So I believe I'm created this way, but I think I should look a certain way. So when I look that certain way, then I'll love myself. So what would you say about that? Do you think surgery is the way to go into getting your body in shape? Or do you think, see, guy, God created you the way you are? Accept it, love it. I mean, of course, in pageantry as well, and international pageants and participants, they own it. They
own
do
it.
surgeries, and they're proud to actually say, "Oh yeah, we do
I
this.
did this.
Yeah, I did that." So yeah.
Well, I feel like, honestly, me speaking about it is a bit unfair because God gave me a natural BBL. So, I've always loved my body. Like, I've expressed, I've always loved my body, and I can't, unfortunately, see the other side of it. I don't know what it feels like to be in a place where I wasn't confident or loved what I looked like. Because me, I like the mirror. I like the mirror very much. And I'm very blessed, and I thank God for that. But I also empathize. I think that's the word. I empathize with people that, wake up and feel the need to change something of how God created them. And because I think like because I don't know and I don't understand it, it's very hard to speak on it. Now, it's easy for me to say like, oh, I don't think you should do surgery and stuff because it's complicated, XYZ, accept yourself. But there's a point when I was younger, when I was like, I think I was like 14. I wanted bigger boobs. I've always seen myself as a boob girl. I wanted double D's. And I didn't get it. And I used to be like, okay, when I grow up,
when you grow up, you're gonna do you still have that?
No. Yeah, I said I like looking in the mirror. I grew out of it, but it was very short. It was very short lived, and I think. But what compensated for it is that I had hips and I had my face, I entering my eye, But as a child, I didn't know what it was. So this was just what I expected for myself and but I didn't. It was very short lived. But I can imagine like maybe if I wake up every single day and I didn't like to look in the mirror, or I didn't want to have any mirrors in my house because I didn't like how I looked. Yeah. I think essentially the only thing I would say to that is, as long as it comes from you as a person, not social media, not your neighbor, not what the next girl looks like. As long as it's something that you feel like maybe is affecting you and you can't thrive, you can't live in society, I mean, that's when I would say, okay, girl.
But now, can we really, really separate the fact
it's very hard.
So that's the thing. So you like your body, but then again, you said you were put. So it's just like
put in a space where
there were other girls slimmer than you, and then you started feeling insecure about this
in that
body that you love. But then again, when you come out of MBGN camp and you look in the you see Kim Kardashian, you see Chloe, you see all of them, you see the you're like, okay, fine, this is what people want. This is what I have. I love it. Yeah. So once upon a time,
it's very difficult,
and it's amazing because beauty, the standards of beauty defined by
changing,
the world, they're always changing.
They're always changing.
It was skinny and perfect.
Right.
Now it's curvy and perfect.
Right.
So that's my thing.
Big
my
lips,
thinking is, So in the end of the day, can we really be ever say settled? It's independence that I dare to have, the flat tummy. For instance, now I'm saying I'm loving Rihanna. She's having a bump. Her tummy is literally bulging. She's loving it. Do you understand?
I feel you. Then, as it changes,
as it's
changing, I think it's the finality of doing something that that essentially changes your body for a long time. Yeah, I definitely get what you're saying.
Yeah. So, I mean, because it's changing. But then again, I think, honestly, I believe you get to love your body at every stage.
Right.
At
if
every
you choose
stage
to.
you are.
If you choose to.
So if you choose, shouldn't you choose to? It's your body now.
No, but you have... No, it's not shouldn't you. You have to choose, No, life is about choice.
Exactly. But I feel it comes... I don't know if to say it comes to others easier than some, because to be very honest with you, even myself, when I was younger, my mom, or whenever I came home, she gives me drips because
you're so small,
look so skinny. You have to eat. You have to, even when Jonathan, you go home, you have to eat. You have to do this. You have to do that. Jonathan. So then going for pageantry, people are like, oh, is this why? Is this why? Is this why? And the truth is that I've always been a person to wake up in the morning, have green tea, have lime in my tea, and then be good. Do you understand? But people are like, oh, you're drinking this thing. You're trying to lose weight. You're trying to... I'm like, no.
Oh, yes.
So now I get married and then I'm adding weight. People are like, oh, you're adding weight. Before you know it. I'm like, before I know it.
Take a side.
Do you understand? And I'm fine. And I've told myself, like, I'm fine with what... If I literally wake up tomorrow morning, I'm a size 18. I'm like, okay, we're here now. As long as I'm healthy, I feel that's honestly what more matters. As long as my routine is not changing, I'm waking up in the morning, I'm going to work out. I'm coming back, I'm drinking my tea with my lemon inside. Do you understand? So I'm taking the necessary precautions. It's my vegetables, it's my fruits. And I think health also, I mean, you're a health practitioner. Know know what works for you, for your heights, know 100%. The weight you're meant to be. Very important and all of this. So I just honestly feel that, as much as we like to say, as long as, changing your body comes from the inside of you, Oh well, I guess.
Like I said, I empathize with people that don't.
Yeah,
I feel the
yeah.
need to change it, and
Mhm.
whatever they. I'm not good. You know, as a Christian, they say don't judge
So
anybody.
don't judge
Yeah,
anybody.
I don't want to speak. Man, I just thank God, Sha.
Yeah. You just thank God, Sha, that you are okay.
I just thank God I'm okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I
True,
had to go
Sha.
okay,
Makes sense.
you
Makes a
know?
whole lot of sense.
So,
All right. Now we're moving next to a segment that I think is very important because of the nerves a lot of people have when they're on stage trying to answer a pageant question, because everybody is good with the hair, makeup, dress, but when it comes to question and answer, it's like an
different
situation.
world.
So Oluchi, today you're going to be helping us, right? It's on a
Hey.
lighter note, but yeah, we'll need you to literally answer this question as if you are on stage, as if your crown depends on it and your booty depends on it too.
Wow.
Okay, so I need you to pick from 1 to 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're already making me nervous to pick. Okay, well, my favorite number is 8, so let's go with 8.
Oh, you've heard of course you're a figure 8.
No, I've always just liked 8. Wow, see the shade. They're putting me in a box.
Okay, so now first of all, who is your favorite pageant queen and why?
So thank you so much for that question.
Thank you.
I believe what makes a pageant queen is her charisma and her boldness to be able to transcend the many challenges that put in front of her. And I believe growing up, I had one person that really allowed me to know that I was able to do those things, and that was Agbani. Everyone has always called me Agbani since I was younger, and that gave me courage to push forward, that no matter what was happening in front of me, that I could do it. She was a girl that came from a little town and made it in the world, that stood on an international stage and brought a crown home to her country. And so it makes the whole world of sense that that's someone that I would choose to be my favorite queen.
Thank you, Miss Oluchi.
Listen, when you got it, you got it.
When you got it, you actually got it. So now let's talk about the nerves and the pressures that comes with answering pageant questions. First of all, when you were on MBGN stage, did you feel nervous? Right, and then if you did, how did you handle that? This is literally just dropping tips for the girls out there. Do you understand? Preparing for that. So how did you handle that, and what structure would you say every girl should follow answering a pageant question if there is one?
Okay, so I'll start from the back. The structure, essentially trying to deliver what you're saying in a short amount of time. I talk a lot, guys. So I had to learn how to be concise. And doing that, I had a team that helped me. So we would have sessions where we would just speak. And it could be a friend, doesn't have to be not a professional team, just people that I would speak to.
Yeah.
And when they would ask me something, they would give me tips on, okay, I like that, but it was too long. Or can you shorten this? And so I got to a place where I just learned to, okay, if I'm on the stage trying to answer a question, I'm just going to give the hot picks, top topics. People say you should have like a intro, a middle, and an end. I think sometimes when you overthink how you answer a question, it can really deter you from answering a question. I think you just have to focus on doing it more consistently. Like, you know, like I said, practice makes perfect. So when I was answering questions with my friends and knowing that, okay, I need to just get my point out. What do I want to say? They asked me a question, who's my favorite person. I feel like I should introduce the person and then explain why they're my favorite person in the same way. And so how I did is I said her name at the end, but I gave a little spiel about it. I don't necessarily think there's a way. People, like you said, like she said, you know, people think there's some type of format. So you know, I'm not a pageant coach. Sorry. So if you're a pageant coach, there is a structure.
Amazing.
Oh,
thank you so much, Oluchi. I believe we can have the conversation for 5 hours.
Yeah.
And then keep on going. But then again, we have to
my
go.
leg.
Definitely. I don't say I'm talking with your mouth. That is your leg.
I have to stretch out the leg, please.
Thank you so much for giving us of yourself, your rich personality, your time, your energy, and your light, of course. We definitely appreciate you. I appreciate everything you're doing in the pageant industry. And of course, that content you're creating, we want to see it consistently. So keep on dishing it out to us. We love you. We celebrate you. And we'll definitely have you back.
Let's work towards that.
We will. You don't have a choice. We'll kidnap you and drag you in. We have to. So yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a great time here.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, and that's it right here on this episode on the pageant show with Winfrey. Definitely had enjoyed having Queen Oluchi right here, and then definitely should stick
The one and
around.
only.
Stick around to see who we'll have next and to see what topics we'll be talking about. Make sure you do follow us on social media. All that detail will definitely be down there. Drop your comments, share it to that pageant girl. Do you understand that you needs this content? All right, we're creating it for you because we love you, we care about you, and we want to see you succeed. All right,
I want to
till
see
next
you
time.
win.
Bye. Bye.